Good evening, folks. Thank you for joining us this wonderful Friday evening. It's for a change cool here in Northern California, only for a brief moment. I hope you're all having a wonderful summer, which is kind of coming to a close. But again, thanks for joining us this evening. Um, I'm making a comeback after a while. It's nice to be here. I hope everyone's doing great. And we have a lot of exciting questions for James and Russ. So without further ado, I'd like to quickly introduce our wonderful host, our co-host for today, Wendy. How are you doing, Wendy?
Good.
Thanks for
Nice to have
having
you
me
back
here.
for a little bit. Yeah.
Appreciate it. For these two gentlemen don't need an introduction, but I'll be polite and do the honors. Russ Gurley, founder of TTPG, was kind enough to join us today. Thanks for hopping on here, Russ,
Yeah,
especially
of
during a
course.
storm. Thanks for making time. And James Badman, he's one of our founding board members. For those of you who are familiar with our Meter member, James was my wonderful co-host for a long time. He and I both decided it's time for some new faces here, but he was happy to hop on here today. So thanks, James.
Yeah,
Appreciate you. So,
cool. Thanks for having me
um,
back.
oh, always a pleasure. I was excited. I was really excited. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. So it will be fun. And I'm looking forward to, sharing the history of TTPG with some of our new members who haven't heard about it. The conference, we're coming up on our 15th annual conference, which is not a small feat. I want to talk about that. And of course, the future. So let's dive in. Russ, you have talked in the past about how TTPG started, the moment, and of course, TSA kind of starting around the same time. If you don't mind, for the benefit of new members who might not have heard that story, can you talk about how TTPG came to being? Oops, did he freeze? I can't tell. I think he froze. That's terrible. James, you pick it up.
Well, Russ tells it so great, but I guess I will try to do it justice. I know a lot of it started out of the Asian turtle crisis. They were all of these wonderful turtles showing up in the food markets, and it was kind of alarming in general. And uh, you know, both TSA and TTPG probably were born both out of that. As what can we do to counter it, and what can be done as an organization. And then I know in Russ's thinking, he's always been on the captive side. There were a lot of rare turtles, especially one here, one there. I think he uses the Batagur as the example, or one of the Caligars,
Right.
rare. A random one here. I think he's coming back on.
Yeah.
But
He's
yeah, there
attempting.
he goes.
Hey, Russ.
Russ, I was filling in for you on how you started TTPG, and I don't want to take your thunder, so I'll turn it over to you. I was just telling him about the ideas of, there was one Batagur here, one Batagur there, and bringing them together, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, you did
Awesome.
great, James.
This
Yeah.
is crazy. I knew this was going to happen.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, Russ's idea was, to form an organization and network and try to bring animals together. Get us working cooperatively together in a manner where we could bring these lone rare animals together. And he ran for a while, and I know that there were a lot of influences in that. I know he usually talks about the Asian Turtle Consortium, and Dave's program, and others that were also kind of working again trying to figure out where certain species were, where they were strongholds and who's breeding them, and again, networking. Russ did a periodical for a while, and a thinner version of the Badger paper version, and then after a few years, Russ, myself, and Drew worked together, and he wanted to kind of relaunch it, get it a nonprofit status, get it, see if we could do a conference. Russ had partnered with Wayne, as many remember, with Turtle Night, and yes, Dave Lee. That's exactly right, with the Asian Turtle Consortium. Sorry if I didn't say that right.
And you and Drew also were part when the Turtle Night was still happening, right? Before the conference came into being.
Absolutely. So we did do just that. We formed it, got its nonprofit status, and we were doing Turtle Night. But in the bigger picture, Russ was like, it'd be great if we could actually do a full-fledged conference, right? And bring everyone together, do it multiple days. In Russ's vision, there was always our conference was to be about to have a social aspect of it, right? A gathering, and I guess it's networking, but it's more than networking. It's developing friendships and
right.
Being able to share knowledge. I think a lot of it is, while there's presentations and talks, just the fact that we're getting together. And when you look at like GTA, the Galapagos Tortoise Alliance, again, it's people being able to get together, share ideas, and just this big gathering. So we did start the conference, and it was something that we had put together. But jumping back, Russ had been doing Turtle Night with Wayne, using the momentum of Daytona, a large stronghold of turtle breeders in Florida and that region. But you got to remember, back then, Daytona was like one of the only trade shows,
right.
And it was really the gathering, of the reptile community, and where people came from all over. Everyone made the pilgrimage to Daytona, right? And we all got together. It was a big social event on Friday, and then Saturday was Turtle Talks, and then Wayne over time also did the other talks. Because as most people know, Wayne had a huge interest in water turtles, right? So turtles and tortoises, and so he had given us the platform to do Turtle Night, and Russ carried that on. We did that for a number of years, and even did it at a time when the conference was running. And then we did hit a point where we had to pull away and focus on the conference, and had stopped doing Turtle Night, and have really been focused on the conference and what we do there.
It's funny you mentioned Daytona trip, making the trip to Daytona as a pilgrimage. That's what a TTPG conference is for me. When I put in my leave application, that's literally what I do, my annual pilgrimage to Arizona. So it becomes that. Hey, Russ, welcome back. Hopefully third
Thank
time's
you.
the charm.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So,
what did I miss?
I think my introduction to TTPG was one of Russ's email. At that point, I think he was kind enough to have TTPG mentioned in his email signature. And when I reached out to him about a Chinese box turtle, I noticed that in his email. And that's when I asked him about it, and he kind of went into it. And he's like, "Consider yourself a member." You didn't ask me for any money or anything, which is so Russ. For those of you who know Russ, that's him. So, your early versions of newsletter, Russ, I think you would say you would print them in Kinko's and send them over. Do you have one to show? Look at that. That's
I actually
awesome.
found one. Yeah, I don't know where the others are. This is number 2, but yeah, in the early days, I didn't take memberships because I wasn't nonprofit, and so I didn't really feel it was right to take people's money. So I just sort of created that thing and sent it out. I do about 10 at a time at my local Staples or copy shop, and send them out, trying to get people to come on board and listen to my ideas about sharing turtles. And yeah, that was a long time ago. That was fall of 1998.
Yeah. Now, James,
most of our new members were still swimming.
James, one of the things we had not in the past gotten into a bit is the history of how you and Drew got got involved with TTPG at your current capacity. How did that come about?
I think that it was just through a friendship with Russ. I mean, and ironically, it was through another conference, because Russ, I think we used to always kind of see each other at IHS, and I remember when IHS was coming to Phoenix, and it was like, if I remember correctly, I was buying a plain cotta from you, and I needed a male plain cotta, and Russ was getting, or I'm sorry, Drew was getting something from you, but it was just a friendship, it was that really developed. We were all heavily interested in turtles and tortoises, and or for me, more tortoises than anything, and constantly talking about how to make an organization, how to make a group that could network, because even back then, there was always rare stuff sitting somewhere with someone, a single animal here, a single animal there, and we were all always having that conversation, or how can we work with zoos, or how can we just better ourselves, and Russ is very creative. I always tell people I don't have a creative bone in my body. I really don't. I'm good at managing projects, managing, the backside of it. Drew's phenomenal with logistics, but Russ has always been the idea man, right? He comes up with these big projects, and then it's like, okay, guys, figure out how to do it. And that's where I think it was just such a great friendship between the three of us, because we all had different strengths, right? And so you brought the three of us together, and it was now where we could get projects across the finish line, whether it was how to do an organization with members, how to get nonprofit status, how to do an actual conference, and what does TTPG look like, right? And what are our goals? What do we want to accomplish and do well? And because an organization like this, you get pulled in 100 directions, right? It's like, why aren't you guys doing this? Why aren't you doing this? Why can't you do that? And it simply comes down to money, just like any organization. TTPG doesn't sell a commodity, right? It is a brand, but it doesn't, we don't make a product and sell it, and so we rely on sponsors. We rely on trying to recoup some of our money through memberships or conference fees, but trying to keep those conference fees, minimal. I think Russ brings it up in every board meeting. We are one of the very few organizations that sees attendance growing at a conference, I'm at the board meeting pleading about money, because that's kind of the area I oversee. It's always, we got to keep it affordable. We want to give free registrations to students. We want to, stick to what we see as some of our core value. in making this a community, and making sure that we have the activities we do before the conference that strengthens our community, and it's and then just hold to those values. So Russ, I'm really missing anything? I mean, you probably I veered off the question.
No, my gosh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Michael.
No, one of the things you mentioned there briefly is that we are one of the conferences. The conference, TTPG conference, is one that's continuing to see an increase in attendance. And I was reflecting a little bit on that the other day. And one of the things to remember here is this is not a professional conference. The people who come there, they're not doing this, unlike some of the other conferences, part of their job. So their trip is not being paid for or compensated for. This is something folks come to because they like the people who are there, they like the organization, and what comes out of it, which is to a point, friendships, long-term friendships, but also many strategic projects as well. Sometimes intentionally, but sometimes it just happens. It's like an idea pops and people run with it. I've seen that over the last 3 years. It's incredible. I'm going to shut up and let Wendy talk for a bit.
No, I think that's a really good point. I mean, people aren't coming to get CE credits, or, they're not being sent by their jobs. Like, for a lot of people, it's something that you look forward to every year. And I get that, it would be nice to have more money to be able to do more things, but I also think it's really important to keep it affordable for people. And I love that we sponsor students to come, because a lot, not just this group, but dog sport groups, other groups, if you're not continually trying to get younger people and new members, your group's going to die. Whatever you're doing is going to die. So I love that we do that. And that kind of segues into, like, if we have people who are newer to TTBG and they want to become more involved, how do they start? What can they do? Because I know we have a ton of talented, kind of energetic, enthusiastic people out there. How do they get more involved?
I mean, I'm happy to take that question. I feel like we get that asked out quite a bit, and how can I get more involved? How can I, and usually it's tailored around a species too. I'd like to really work with this one or that one, so I guess the first piece of that is happy to reach out. We try to work with what people's strengths are. If someone has a strength in a certain area, I mean, we do so many projects now between International Turtle and Tortoise Week, the Badager, the conference, and the monographs. That if it's writing, write an article. If you just want to help in the logistics, reach out. There's always something with the conference. There are times we're reaching out looking for volunteers to help out at shows, and just to sit at a table and greet and talk to people, put a friendly face behind the table, and if it's art, what we're happy to work with different. If you're willing to share your art, for ITTW, we try to change our material every 2 to 3 years. It's very, very interesting that about 2 or 3 years ago, we were sending out more links. Teachers were printing stuff. I will say the last 2 years, we are getting more and more requests again for the printed materials. I think that kind of shows that the teachers can't print at school like they were. I think our printing budget for ITTW this last year was a few thousand more than it had been. But as we send out bigger packets, like I said, I really think a lot of schools have lost that funding to even print material, because 3-5 years ago, we were just sending the link out. We got to the point where we had more requests for that than the actual printed material, but we're back to that, stickers, bookmarks and stuff like that. So there's a place for everybody. I may not find it right away, but between Russ, Drew, and myself, we're always happy to, we're volunteers ourselves. So, I always remind people, we do this in our spare time as well. And so we're always looking for more help and willing to do it. We also are taking on more with the CPP and the rescue side. And so even if it's just housing some turtles or tortoises for a short period of time, or, helping with the logistics of even picking up moving animals sometimes. Again, there's pieces floating all over, and it's just reaching out to myself. I know, Michael, you come with requests from people, to the board as well, and say, hey, so-and-so wants to do this. It's just grabbing one of us. If I know I'm not the friendliest all the time, so if you're afraid to come to me, go to Russ or whatever. Well, don't go to Russ, because they're gonna then it's gonna be another person telling me they can't get a hold of him. But just go to Michael or me, right, and Wendy and stuff. So just kidding, Russ. I always have to give you a hard time for that, because
No. I own it. I own it. So.
Any thoughts from you, Russ?
Well, I think we, like James said, we get asked a lot about, let's start this project or this project, and we sort of decided a few years ago that let's do what we do really well. Let's do ITTW really well. Let's do the conference really well. Let's put out a good quality Badager and Badager monographs. And like James mentioned, that this our CPP and these guys building up colonies of animals and sharing them with each other is, that was my dream in the early days. I sort of glitched out that first 15 minutes of this, but my DNA was with the AFH. I was around in the late 80s when we did the AFH and the Vivarium with Philippe de Vaugelet and Vince Scheidt and all those guys. And that was sort of the genesis of TTPG, was sort of the same sort of organization, only with a turtle slant, so it's always been, my goal was always to kind of stay away from these postage stamp collections, which were really probably more of a thing during that time in the 80s and early 90s, where guys would have 200 turtles, but it was always 2 of these and 2 of these and 1 of these and 3 of these, and so that was always my goal, is to build up, have this sort of organization where people had larger groups. You have larger groups, obviously it sort of enhances your possibility of producing animals, but this, not only producing but the sharing them, that was the take the financial side out of it, and where does this group of animals need to be, and I think just in the last year or two, it's really grown. It's kind of a new thing for us, and it's really very exciting that people are sharing animals and doing breeding loans and things that that haven't really been done in the past,
Yeah.
So.
And I want to quickly piggyback on what James said, just for the benefit of especially our younger members. I know it gets kind of, feels disheartening when you reached out and said, hey, I would love to help, I have time. And then you don't hear back. Either you don't hear back a positive response or immediately. But I just want to remind you, be patient and keep, reminding us. Like James mentioned, none of us have a paid position here, but we do this on top of everything else. And as James mentioned, if somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, I would love to help, we talk about it. What we are doing, and you will see that happening next year, because some of the members who reached out and shared what their expertise is, what they can help with, we are looking at, okay, how can we translate that into reality? So it happens. It's a slow process because of how much time each
Right.
of us put into this. So again, apologies. Don't feel disheartened. Keep, reaching out, keep reminding us, and we will continue to find projects, continue to make things happen. What we don't want to do is we don't want to suddenly try to go, really far, go big, and find ourselves short, stopping midway, and then,
Yeah.
not completing a project. That's not a good look. So, like Russ mentioned, we want to continue to do what we do good and slowly keep adding things. And that's happening. The CPP, it's been added the last couple, 3 years. Now the rescue side, thanks to Cameron for managing those. So it's about finding the time and the people and people who continue to show up, which many of the young folks have done. So we are talking about what we can do with those of you who have reached out. I want to share you that. So thank you. Back to you, Wendy.
I was going to say, I think I bugged you for 6 months before we started doing stuff, just a lot of back and forth. So if you have ideas, I mean, just
Well,
bring them up, and it might take a while, but there's it certainly doesn't hurt to ask if you have an idea for something. Um, but yeah, I'm sure in the beginning you were very annoyed by my constant, what if we do this? What if we do this? What about this?
oh, if you're talking to me, no, not at all
Yes,
annoyed.
yes.
Not at all annoyed because the funny thing is, and I'll tell you this, when I came on, I probably asked a lot of that to these guys and whoever else was on the board at that time, a lot of the things. But again, it's them, the board at that point in time, whoever was there, understanding the strengths, understanding the limitations, and
Right.
saying, okay, let's just focus on doing that. And since I've come on, we have slowly added a few things. Since you come on, we're talking and we're adding, and that's how it will. It will always be growing,
Mm.
just slowly. We are total keepers
Yeah.
after all. So, James, talking about slowly growing, I
Okay.
remember our first year at one of the banquet rooms at the hotel, but now here we are at the convention center, and that the last 2 years I've expressed concern that we don't have space there, especially if everyone who's there decides to sit and listen at the same time. I feel like there's not going to be seats for everybody. I think we're really close. But tell us what goes into organizing and executing a conference like this.
Um,
What is involved from a logistics standpoint?
there's a lot going on behind the scenes. There always is. On the logistics side, and I think this kind of rolls in with why don't we move the conference around the country? That's a question that comes up quite a bit because other groups do it, and why don't we do this? Why don't we do that behind it? And it comes down to again, we're a nonprofit. We have a finite amount of money. In this industry, there's a finite number of sponsors. When you look at, if you take a hard look at the number or the organizations like TTPG, TSA, Iguana Land, Iguana Fest, and you look at the sponsors, the sponsor boards, you could almost they're almost interchangeable, right? The sponsors are the same heavy hitters within this industry typically, right? And you can only go and ask for so much money, and you can only ask so many times. It also, in doing so, when we were first having this conversation about a conference, it's no secret, Drew and I own a reptile show, and we work with the Mesa Convention Center. Both Drew and I are in Arizona, so it makes handling the logistics a lot easier when you're trying to arrange buses. You're working to set up contracts. It's not Russ, myself, or Drew flying to name the state, or going to Florida or whatever, and talking to a hotel and I get you can have some of it over the phone, but you would want to see the facilities, the rooms, and see what you're leasing and renting, because it's one thing to be looking at plans. But I will say, so Drew and I have an established relationship with the Mesa Convention Center because of our show. We have a relationship with the Delta Marriott, and you get better rates when you group stuff. You get, if you buy so much, you get hotel credits. Honestly, in our first years, we ran the conference mostly off hotel credits. What Drew and I got from credits from doing our show, we gave to the TTPG to use for the free, to get free space, and get the conference space at a reduced rate by contracting out 3 years, or multiple years. We get better rates. It's just simply a business decision. It's coming down to getting a better rate, money. In our early years, December would roll around, and Drew, Russ, and I, our goal for TTPG was always to be at zero. We didn't have to make money. We didn't have to lose money. Usually at the end of the year, what Russ, I'd say, okay, we all have to put in $200 and we'll be back at zero for January 1st, right? Yep. We'll start the year at zero. So we would start the year at zero and we would hope to end the year at zero. We're a little bit better off these days, but, we still have to be very aware of how much I'm spending. Half the board members, know, I've said, guys, we got to pause this project until we get a little bit further along. We get a sponsor. We do whatever, because we're outpacing what we have coming in right now in our spending. So jumping back to the question, it's a business decision. It's getting to use or getting a better rate. It's about getting to use credits that Drew and I amassed from our other event, that we let TTPG have or use to get either reduced rate or free rooms, as in the actual conference room itself. All of that is leased, and the most expensive thing is the catering. It will always be the catering. You have to use their vendors. You have to use. I wish I could say, guys, I love providing a breakfast spread for you, but we're going to do McDonald's and just bring in Egg McMuffins. It doesn't work that way. They've got contracts. They will not let you, you get to pick from these vendors and use this. And it's a moneymaker for them. And that's not unique to the Mesa Convention Center. It is any center that, or any convention center. And we're watching, and I know Russ knows this because Russ and I, we've served or are serving on other boards, and we can tell you what those boards go through when they're moving these conferences around. And anyone who thinks a conference is a moneymaker, it shows you've never done this before. It's not a moneymaker. I'm just going to put it right out up there for you. We don't make money on running a conference. Again, my goal at the end of the conference is to be at zero. We're a nonprofit, and that's the goal. But we're watching these other conferences, by moving them around, they're hoping to draw bigger crowds, or they're hoping to do it, I don't want to call out anybody, but we've watched these conferences. Some of them are dying on the vine because they just they went somewhere and it was a bad call. They didn't get the turnout. They didn't get or you're seeing a lot of them kind of use our model, and they'll ping between 2 or 3 places but stay pretty static at those, or they will always go back to one that is there one where they can recoup after a bad year, right? And that's kind of the way it goes. So we have found this model works for us, and we know it's a hardship for a lot of people to come here, and we appreciate it. But at the same time, it's what's keeping our organization healthy and alive as a nonprofit. And the other piece to that, I will say, because everyone's gonna say, well, then how do you survive if a conference isn't a moneymaker? How do you survive if you lose money on the Badger and you lose money, and it's an auction. And teaming with someone or an organization that will let you have an auction like we do on the Saturday night of the Reptile Show. That auction is split with US Art. It is that goes directly into our operating budget, and it's a huge piece of our operating budget. And so the auction and sponsors and the amount that we get in, we have been really blessed with some great sponsors, and some of the new ideas of sponsoring breakfast, sponsoring has really taken the pressure off and has allowed us to do more. I think Russ wanted to kill me this year when he said, "Hey, let's do a." See, thank you for posting that, because it is huge. Where Russ is like, "Hey, it's our anniversary. I want X number of international speakers," and I just, I started immediately breaking out in sweat. I'm just like, I feel nauseous. I'm like, how are we going to do this? But we're making it work, and we're super excited about it. Russ, how many internationals did you get this year?
We've got 3 so far. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
we've got. You hear? I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Okay, kind of glitching out. Yeah, we've got Dirk from South Africa. We've got Marcus from Germany, and we've got Pelf from Malaysia. So yeah,
nice.
Very excited. And like James said, I came up with the idea, and then he's got to find the money. But we've got a lot of great donors and sponsors that just make it happen. It's really the only way. That and the auction. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to.
I
Go
was
on,
just going
Wendy.
to say real quick, speaking of sponsorships, those are linked on the website. Is that right, Michael? There's still sponsorships open for this year's conference.
Yep.
Okay,
And
great.
the link is included in the newsletter, which again, if you have been enjoying it, make sure you thank Wendy. She's been putting that together. These are the things that slowly come together. We have done newsletters in the past. Those of you who religiously followed it would remember us always talking about the weather. And one time he said, "You know what? I'm done. I'm tired of talking about weather. I'm not doing this anymore." So good things happen with time. So be patient with us. But to James's point about one of the things is we are careful about the money what we spend in, because we want to continue to provide the value we provide for our members. We take the membership seriously, and to highlight one of how the extent these guys went through before I got involved and all, and what we go through today. Those of you who were there for the first field trip will remember Drew, Kurt, and I can't remember who else driving the van actually to the field trip. So we rented vans, we didn't hire drivers, we drove it ourselves. We all made it through, and that's how we do it here at TTPG. We make it happen. Yeah,
I want to correct one thing in that story. Drew borrowed those vans from his work. We couldn't even afford to rent them.
Okay,
that's why he was driving them. We had to borrow them from his work because we couldn't afford to rent the buses or the vans. This is how far we've come, and I remember, I think the next year we rented the vans. We could afford to rent them.
Probably, yeah.
We were flush. We were flush year 2. The first year, and maybe the first 2 years, we all went out and ate dinner together. Do you remember that? There was a Cajun restaurant in walking distance, and everybody who came to the conference went to this one restaurant. We all fit at about 6 booths, and it's pretty dramatically different now, which is pretty great.
So, Russ, you talked about the international speakers. For those who were there for the first year. So we all will be getting back to Mesa for the 16th year for the 15th conference. So 16 years later, we're here again for the 15th annual conference. What is in store for the attendees this year? I know you had big ideas, but what have we come up with? What has James made happen? What can
Sorry,
you tell us? Are you losing me?
Sorry, I didn't get it. I'm glitching out here again. Can you say
Okay.
again?
Yeah. So for the 15th annual conference, what can attendees expect? No, you're not hearing me. Oh, we completely lost him.
Yeah.
So
We
we'll
have
let him spin. Go on,
Yeah,
James.
I can't go over the whole speaker list like Russ can because he knows it better than I. But I will talk about we have a phenomenal field trip planned with Wildlife World Zoo. We'll spend the time there. As most know, we also have our barbecue at the hotel, and that is free and something that all members can attend. And if you haven't made it to the barbecue, it's just a really, really good time. There's just you end up talking to the wee hours of the morning about turtles and tortoises and stuff we all really enjoy. But the field trip this year, again, a phenomenal place. We always enjoy our time out at Wildlife World Zoo. Morgan Brown has really put together a great set of tours and experiences for people. And we're looking forward to that because while we're all turtle and tortoise people, we're all animal people in general. And so as soon as she starts saying, pet a rhino, feed a giraffe, we're all just like giddy and like, sign me up. So it's really going to be a great day. And then just what I have always enjoyed is the chance to get to break off and just talk to people, and because it's one thing to talk to them on the phone, but man, when you're sitting across from someone, just having a great conversation, and you get a couple of us that are real animated, like myself and Heidecker, or just talking and just going at it and telling stories. It's just a great time. So anyways, really looking forward to that. And I'll let Russ talk about speakers because that's really his arena.
Yeah, sorry. This storm is really knocking my Wi-Fi around, but you may have said this already too, but the first few conferences we scheduled evening events, workshops, and Q&As. We flew a dude in from Madagascar to talk about the situation there. We did a workshop where somebody trimmed a beak and nails of overgrown beak. We did anyway. We had these evening events, and after about the third one, we realized that hey, doing these long extended lunches and leaving the evenings free was much better, because you have so many people that get together with people like you said that know each other from social media or other things, and they get to talk about their enclosures and animals. And so yeah, after about that third year, we opened things up, and the barbecue and the field trip have both been really big parts of that. That hanging out and socializing with each other. So what'd you ask me, James?
Speakers.
Speakers. Yeah, I'll tell you the speakers.
It's a nail biter, man. Everyone's like, will he finally get to the speaker list?
Say again. Sorry, I'm just getting pieces.
We can hear you, so keep going.
Can you hear me though? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Or is it weird? It's good.
No, it's good.
Yes.
So we've got I'll run through the speaker list real quick. I'm not sure if anybody can hear me or not, but Fred Caparasso from Chapman is going to start us off with Galapagos tortoises. Marcus Auer coming from Germany with Platy Stern, talking about breeding Platy Sternen, bighead turtles. Tony Monahan, Chris Leone, and Casey Leone are going to talk about their trip to Corsica. Katie Bradley is going to speak about keeping and breeding Russian tortoises. Kevin Minto is going to talk about raising giant tortoises in Connecticut. What else do we have? Chris Lekowitz on keeping and breeding map turtles. Dirk Barnard from South Africa, about South African tortoises. Bill Mullen's going to talk about his giant greenhouse project in Arizona. Crowd favorite Anthony Pierleone, of course, is going to be there and entertain us.
Talking about short shorts.
Friday is sort of our day where we talk about.
So I was asking
Say
if
again?
Anthony's going to be presenting about how to look sexy in short shorts. I'm screwing around with you. Go on.
Sorry. So we've got Phil Goss and Art Parola from US Arc going to give us an update on turtle projects. Ashley Rauer from Zoom Ed is going to talk about International Turtle and Tortoise Week. She's our coordinator for that. Cameron Lamb will give us an update on the Colonian propagation program and the rescue program. Dirk is probably going to do a Christina talk, and then he's going to do on Friday after the banquet a sort of South African tortoise roundtable at the same time that the Galapagos Tortoise Alliance is going to have their annual meeting. They have their annual meeting at TTPG every year. So Richard Porter is going to give a presentation on humidity and hatching success, and then he'll also run the Galapagos Tortoise Alliance meeting. Pelf Chen from the Malaysian Herp Society is going to give us a talk. I think hers is on incubation too. You know, her group breeds the Batigers, and it's kind of a reintroduction program. So I'm excited to meet her. And then I've got a few that haven't confirmed yet, so I don't want to really talk about those in case they don't come through. But I mean, that's a pretty good lineup already. I'm very excited about our setup this year.
Awesome. Somewhere in there I was going to ask about something, but it slipped my mind. If it comes back, I'll get on it. Wendy, did you have something?
Yeah. Do you guys have any suggestions to share for first-time conference attendees?
Ooh, yes.
Oh, that's a great question. You know, I've been telling James and Michael this, and you, Wendy. I see more people talking about coming for the first time than I ever have before. And it may just be Facebook and Instagram, but it seems like we've got a lot of new attendees coming. So what about you, Wendy? I mean, you're kind of that's sort of your specialty is welcoming everybody, and you know, you've done a great job with us on for us on the newsletter and all of those things. What anything that we did with you or could do better or to prepare?
Yeah, so last year was my first time, and I will say 100% my lifesaver was Michael. Michael reached out to me pretty much every day. How are you doing? Do you have something to do? We don't want you sitting by yourself. I got invited to breakfast. Michael, I don't know if you do that with everybody, because I saw lots of people checking in with you, and that was just fantastic. I never felt like I don't know what to do. If you don't know what to do, come down to the lobby of the hotel. I mean, anytime I came down, there's big groups of turtle people, and just kind of walk up, introduce yourself, and everyone will just welcome you in like they've always known you. And I don't know if maybe we can get like a little group chat going for people who this is their first year, so that if anyone's a little uncomfortable or doesn't know what's going on, you can just reach out and we'll say, oh, we're down at the lobby. Oh, we're going to this restaurant. And that way, because we don't want anyone feeling left out at all. So
Yeah,
That's the key. That's the big key. We don't want anybody
Go on, Russ. Keep going. Oh, he froze.
No. That's obviously our goal, and is our goal every year to have and it's a diverse crowd. It's not as diverse as some meetings, but it's, I would just encourage you to not be shy, and just jump in, link up with somebody, and have lunch with them or have dinner with them. Don't ever feel weird about grabbing somebody and saying, what do you do? What do you keep? Right.
Yeah, and I'd say if you see someone sitting in the lobby who's sitting by themselves, having a cup of coffee, like I met some great friends last year just being like, "Hey, I'm Wendy, I'm from Florida. Where are you from? Like, what do just really reach out and make sure everyone's included."
I'll share a couple of things from my side. One, thank you for being kind, Wendy. But I do my best, especially because I know I maintain the registration list. I know people who haven't visited before, so we try to do that. I'm terrible at keep looking at my phone once I'm there. So for those who have experienced that in the past and might experience do this again, if you try to ping me, text me, or message me and you don't hear back, please know I'm not ignoring you. I'm having a conversation with somebody else at that point in time. So hit me up with any questions before you get there. I'm happy to answer. And once we're there as well, if you grab me in person. But for those who have registered and this is the first time, you will get emails starting the first week of November. We try to not put in important information ahead of time and then have it kind of lost, but we will also be buttoning things up. And the last few years, I've also included instructions on how to get from the airport to the hotel. That's one question we get. Of course, there's Lyft, there's Uber. Phoenix also has Metro or light rail, whatever you call it locally there. Of course, the locals tell me they never take it, but it's very convenient. There's a little bit of walking within the airport. You can get to the station, and then it will drop you off, and you can get down in Mesa about 3 blocks from the hotel. Um, I'm directionally challenged, so I didn't include in my directions. You want to turn north or south and things like that. And somebody's like, "Well, I got that. Then I didn't know where to go." So this year I'm trying to add that additional info. I'll lean on James or Cameron, some of the local folks to put that final mile together. But yeah, we will get an email out to you. It'll go to the email that was in the registration form. So if anyone has changed your email address, please do reach out and let me know. I'll update the records, but communication will start coming through from the first week of November, FYI. And then when you get there, of course, we're happy to share when we break for lunch and stuff like that. We will share some notes on restaurants that we like, things in the area and things to watch out for with some of the restaurants. Like there's one sports bar across the convention center. It's very tempting to just go there, but they get overwhelmed when everybody goes in. So if everyone is going in for lunch at the same time, they just not. We tell them ahead of time. We tell them this is a conference week. But it's like they don't care. They don't put in an effort to add additional stuff or whatever. But you'll have a blast. And evenings, of course, like Russ mentioned. And this year, we have a local resource who is interested in kind of putting together an evening group, um, bar hopping or whatever he has in mind. I haven't finalized things with him, but we will connect you with him if you're interested. But like James mentioned, it'll be late nights, a lot of fun conversations. So, James, anything from you for people who are attending for the first time?
I think you guys have all said it very well. It's taking advantage of the opportunities and connecting with people, and if there's a species that you're focused on or want to work with, I will also say, let us know, because we can get you connected to the people that are working with them or trying to, or, share the same interests and stuff like that, that also helps when you have some commonality in species and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
That's all I think I wanted to add, Michael. And I think that helps with the conversation as well. And
Yeah.
I asked everybody that I met about spider tortoises at the conference last year, and ended up with 3 this summer from a contact through the conference. So,
yeah,
and it wouldn't
that's how it
happen
works.
otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Good.
And
That's good.
I want to quickly, that's one thing, that I was thought about earlier and missed it. I want to quickly thank everyone who participates in the CPP program, everyone who has donated animals. It doesn't matter what species it is. And I've said this in the past, and I'll say it again. If it's just a slider, if it's just a common musk turtle, if it's, and I say just because people tell me I just keep box turtles, I just keep musk, I just keep sliders. Remember, that is someone's dream species. So I want to, stress that if you have box turtles and you'd like to donate some, that can go to somebody who for some reason locally cannot find it, or whatever the reason might be. Please reach out to Cameron. And again, we wanna thank every one of you who has donated animals, who's considering donating animals. Thank you, appreciate you all. Wendy, if you want to kind of take us kind of to the finish line, if you have any final questions, we're coming up on an hour. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Unless
Yeah. Okay.
members have any last questions for us, or any questions for us.
So, as you've watched TTPG kind of grow and develop over the past 15 years, what's your biggest takeaway? What things have changed, and what things have you kept the same?
Is that for me?
Yes.
Sure.
Oh my God.
And James as well. I mean, we would like to hear your thoughts as well after Russ is done.
I'll say I kind of already talked about it, and probably in previous podcasts too, because it's so exciting for me. But initially, I was into big river turtles, and there was an adult female Badiger in a backyard in California, and there was a adult male Badiger in a backyard pond in Florida. There was a juvenile that was on the Bronx Zoo surplus list. And it really freaked me out that all of these animals were sort of just growing old together. I mean, alone. And really that was 1996 when I had the idea for TTPG. And to see now, all these years later, much more than 15, that people are sharing these animals and creating these big assurance colonies, and that it's really about producing babies, seeing those babies hatch out of the eggs, and sharing offspring. So we have sort of unrelated, diverse groups. And again, like I mentioned earlier, taking the financial part of it out. You like spotted turtles. I have spotted turtles. Here's some spotted turtles. Some of these, some of our members. I've got an example. I think somebody last year donated 8 spotted turtles to another member, because they love spotted turtles, and they had this beautiful pond that they had built and created for spotted turtles. And that person could have taken those animals to a local reptile show and made $1,000 probably. But he didn't. He shipped them to this other member, and word spreads. Cameron sent out a male mountain tortoise to somebody that needed a male, and they produced babies. And then all of a sudden, we've got baby mountain tortoises for free through our CPP. So anyway, that philosophically, that's something that I'm very, very excited about. Of course, I'm excited that the Badiger is still high quality, that ITTW reaches so many young kids all over the country, homeschoolers and school kids and scouts and Girl Scouts, and of course the conference. Like James said, there are lots of groups that have struggled. Some have even folded up because of lack of interest in their membership, and we're worrying that our presentation room may not have enough seats in it this year. That's a great problem to have. So overall, yeah, growth and then these special projects just are far more than I expected years ago. How's that?
That's fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah.
So in November we'll talk about the next new project, right? So, James,
The what now?
how about you, James?
I mean, I would be echoing Russ's sentiments. You know, it's been amazing to watch us grow. I mean, you know, again, what we talked about earlier, you know, we'd love to be doing 10 more things, but our focus the last few years is to concentrate on what we do well, continue to do that very, very well. Where can we help or maybe provide some improvement or support, and that's what we kind of focus on, and you know, our newest projects with the CPP and the CRP, the rescue side, you know, both have been projects of interest of mine for years. I'm glad Cameron's taken it on. It's nice to have that person. I will say it is very, very helpful when people keep up and communicate with Cameron on what, you know, we have had some extremely rare opportunities this last year, and you know, they may not make it announced on Facebook or, you know, a picture with the turtle or whatever, but there's been a lot of opportunities that have arisen coming through the CPP, and then you hear back, oh, well, I could have also used a male, or I could have used this. And it's like, you know, did you keep up with Cameron? Did he know this? You know, because a lot of times we get offered these animals, or we get, you know, and especially when, you know, they get, you know, they're being sent to myself or sent to Russ or even Drew, Cameron, you know, we all have collections of our own. And, you know, when I have mountain tortoises coming, they're not, you know, I live in Arizona, it's hot and it's dry. Two things that I can tell you mountain tortoises don't appreciate. And so my goal is to get them placed as fast as possible. And you know, it's like, Cameron, where can we get them and how fast can we get them there? You know, can we loop it where they don't come through me, type of thing. And, you know, if we don't know what you're working with, and you know, everyone wants to keep their project secret and whatever. I don't care. I'm not here to dictate to anyone how to manage your collection. I'm just saying there could be an opportunity. And you know, if we don't know, then we don't know to send them to you or help you. And this has become a phenomenal project that provides a lot of opportunity. And like I said, this last year, we've had some very, very phenomenal opportunities that, you know, we're thankful to be a part of, and to help and move the animals around and stuff. And so make sure you keep those, you know, keep up if you're looking to work with something or have an interest, and because you just never know what's going to come walking in, you know. And I am always shocked when we're offered animals. It's like, where did these come from? You know, I thought they'd all kind of died out or whatever. And it's always interesting what's out there, you know. So anyways, I don't need to go on and on about that, but you know, we can do it. Other than that, I think I'm looking forward to Anthony's calendar that's coming out. Is that what I saw, Anthony? I saw these little flashes coming up. What's that?
Oh,
Russ,
no.
were you helping them with the layout?
No, I don't want to see any of that. No offense, Anthony, but yeah.
So
I assume it's not a turtle calendar.
Is that where the short shorts come in, Michael?
no, that's from 2024. You know, yeah. If you weren't there, you missed it. What can I say? You know, when Anthony's there, he's giving you more than just turtles to keep thinking about. That's you know. Now, talking about Anthony again, taking a walk down. You know, just real quick. You know, talking about things that have changed. You know, we consciously, James mentioned this, you know, if you're an artist, you have a way to help. You know, you can create something, donate it to the auction, you know, that helps TTPG. if you have even a remote inclination to write about or share what you know, and I've said this before, to write for Batakur, you don't need to be a published author. Come up with something, and then Russ, as the editor, he will help you put the finishing touches. And I'm not ashamed to call in on Anthony and ask for help as well. For those of you here remember, he was kind enough to host a God, what I don't know what we called it, but
Like a writing seminar.
these fun things happen as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I still have a recording. Again, thanks, Anthony. I still see you're still around. Love you, bud. Thanks for making this happen. I just reached out and told him, let's do this. And he's, for those of you who know him, I don't need to tell you about him. He's always game, and so thankful. So yeah, there are many ways you can contribute. You can write. Again, Russian Tortoise says, Katie, I'm looking forward to a presentation. Um, I- m- there some of us dismiss it, saying, "Oh, I just keep Russians." No, 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 no. It's. I mean, and for those who have kept Russians and tried to breed them and raise them, it's not easy. It's not just putting together and it doesn't happen. Ornate box turtles, for those who have managed to hatch out. Um, which, by the way, if anybody has tips on how to successfully raise ornate box turtle hatchlings, let me know. I've got hatchlings; their shells are curling up. I'm trying to figure it out. So anyway, things is there's no species that doesn't deserve attention. So yeah, whatever species you're interested in and want to kind of shout out from the rooftop about it, share your love for that species with others, please reach out. Consider presenting, consider writing. There are so many ways you can help. Um,
I
Wendy,
want to say one thing real quick.
yeah,
Also for the talks at the conference, you might be like, well, I'm not really interested in Russian tortoises. I guarantee you that talk will apply to you. There will be something about the enclosures, the husbandry. Every single talk that I went to, even though I was kind of like, well, I don't know if this applies. Every single one I have notes from that I refer back to today. I learned something from every single speaker, and everyone you talk to in between, you'll learn something from. I can guarantee it.
No matter how long you've been doing this, that is
Yeah,
true.
that's true.
Absolutely. Wendy, I am gonna ask you the same. I know you've been kind of been involved and been visiting only one conference, but you've looked at TTPG for a couple of years. In the 2 or 3 years you've watched TTPG, have you seen anything stand out that you would like to share?
For me, the thing that amazes me the most about TTPG is the CPP program. I cannot think of any other, not just reptile, any other animal group where people would do that and just remove the monetary aspect of it. And it's fantastic. It's wonderful. And I know some people may look at it and think, well, it's probably just common stuff. I got a Burmese star baby through the CPP, and I could not believe it. Like, Cameron contacted me and I was like, you're kidding me, right? Like, I can't believe that a breeder would take this animal that they could sell and give it to me for the cost of shipping. And still today, like, I love all of my animals. My little CPP baby is just, there's something special about it. So, and she's amazing, and I'm so grateful to her breeders for donating her. They've become friends. Don't be afraid to fill out your survey with your dream species, because if you don't ask, there's zero chance of it happening.
That's a great point. And I want to talking about CPP. Of course, I'm going to let Cameron share the notes. When we started, I think within the first year. Again, you have to be patient. I cannot stress that
Yeah.
enough. We are seeing. Well, I mean, of course, Wendy was talking about Burmese star tortoise that happened even early on. We are seeing species again, I don't like talking about monetary value, but let's face it, that's a reality. That's something that's associated with animal. We are seeing species. Actually, there was a spider tortoise recently. Cameron was asking if somebody's sitting on a lone male or female, right? If I remember correctly. So, you know, yeah. So things happen. They happen slowly because we are dealing with turtles and tortoises. So, but you know, I am almost positive. 10 years down the road, we're gonna see radiators and other species being shared through CPP very easily, and that becomes a possibility when more and more people are hatching them, which we are kind of paving the way for by sharing these animals around. So yeah, it's a great moment, and again, I want to thank everyone who continues to participate, continues to donate, and thanks for opening your hearts and sharing those. Gentlemen,
Michael,
Wendy, thank
I
you.
will say, Michael, real quick, I saw Cameron's note flash up here, but we all owe Cameron a lot because he manages this. He takes the animals in, he's shipping them. There's a lot of behind the scenes logistics of that, and I know I appreciate because I see it probably more than most, but he's doing a lot behind the scenes, and
Absolutely.
we definitely appreciate everything he does for us. So.
Yeah, and that again is a great note. We were able to actually make CPP happen because we found somebody like Cameron and said, you know what, this guy can do it. Let's do it. And that's how more and more projects become a reality. Wendy knows this. I've often talked about I would love to create a video library of care videos, short, crisp care videos for different species. But again, it takes time, and again, the three people cannot keep on taking more and more. So, like Cameron, like Wendy, someone else is going to come on who can help us make that happen. The social media side or the YouTube and stuff is kind of a you know interesting space. We don't want us to ask someone, or at least I feel hesitant to ask someone to create content for us and put it on the TTP channel when they can easily put it on their own channel. But one day I'll get over that hesitation and I'll point blank ask someone to help create content. So it will happen. But until then, keep enjoying Just Turtles. I'm excited. Anthony and Kevin are making their way out there. Thank you. Thanks, every one of you. Real quick before we close, Wendy, any closing remarks, comments from you?
No, just thank you all for being here tonight, and thanks for this great conversation. I'm really, really looking forward to the conference.
Thank you. James, how about you?
I think, again, thanks to everyone for joining us tonight, and I look forward to seeing everyone in November.
Thank you, James. Thanks for making time today. I appreciate you.
No worries.
Russ?
Oh gosh, yeah, same. Just reach out before the conference, and follow us on Facebook and try to meet some friends before you get there. And the conference goes very quickly, but if you have items to send in, get with us, for the auction. If you want to help sponsor the conference or donate, get with Michael or go through the website. But most importantly, we'll see you. November will be here very quickly.
Thank you, Russ. Again, thanks for making time even through all the technical difficulties. It is good to have you here again.
Sorry, I live in a very primitive state.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you spending some time with us this evening. Like my fellow board members, I can't wait to see you in November. Please reach out. And please, if you don't hear from me immediately, I promise I'm working through my messages. For some reason, the last few months have been crazy. Too many messages, but I'll get through everything. Thanks again to everyone for donating animals to CPP, for donating items to the auction, for writing for the article, for making time and coming to the conference and being with us. We appreciate you. See you in November. And Wendy and Mark, will see you again in October for our next Meet a Member. I'm looking forward to that one. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye.
Thanks, Michael.